Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the world's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And we've got one for you today. John Di Domenico, how are you?
Good, how are you?
It must be great to be you. To have your moment in life when you're it and everybody wants to talk to you must be thrilling. And this last 18 months has certainly been that for you, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been incredible. All my Christmases came at once. To be doing a character that you thought was kind of on the down end of the arc to hit, just to take off.
It's a lifetime of preparation, though. What I love about you guys, the reason you're able to turn up on a TV studio and knock it out is because you've been doing this your entire life, haven't you? This isn't something you came up with when he became presidential.
No, I've been doing Trump since 2004, and I've been an actor since I was 5 years old. I was doing impersonations and for my neighborhood people, and I did improv and was in a sketch comedy group, and I was a writer. So it was all those pieces came together with this character because the demand was so great, and a lot of times I couldn't prepare as much as I want. So a lot of improv went into a lot of my appearances.
What are you most? Are you an actor? Are you a comedian? Because the scripts are vital.
Right. For me, I just consider myself a comedic actor. People use the term impersonator and impressionist. I approach this as a character, like I do with any of my other roles. This is a character that I'm playing, and I'm trying to take everything I learned as an actor and imbue that into the performance, so it's not just a caricature of whoever I'm doing. I'm trying to approach it from that angle.
Did you feel when he said he was going to run for president that this could be a defining moment in your life? Did you guess that this could be your big moment?
I was very apprehensive because he had done it 4 years before and he had toyed with it and then he had dropped out. So I wanted to make sure that he was legit about it. And but one of the things that was interesting was the John McCain comment. He'd already announced, it was a big hullabaloo. He made the John McCain comments, and his numbers went up afterwards. And my thought was, that's really interesting. If he can make it to the first debate, I'll be set for the fall. Because clients are always looking for, that thing that's happening. Well, not only did he do the first debate, he nailed the first debate, and the second debate, and the third debate. And with every subsequent debate, my phone just kept ringing and ringing, and my agent was saying we were getting like 10 calls a day, and everything from voiceovers to TV shows to movie offers. It was pretty amazing. Was there a moment where you were turning stuff down that in your quietest moments you would have dreamed of doing? Because you've got to prioritize. Yeah. You can't be everywhere. And a couple of really big jobs, I couldn't, we'd already committed to something else. And when you commit, you commit. And one of the things from on the business side, I can't screw a client, because we have no idea what's going to happen down the road. So we always stuck by anything that we accepted and were contracted to do. How confident were you in the material? Because you've got to be funny. If it's not funny, it doesn't work. Did that come easy? Because he's easy to parody because he's so distinctive, but it's what you say and how you say it, isn't it? Well, it is. And for me, I was really lucky, and I said this before, I had a really long runway for him because I work as a writer. I get paid to write. So with him, I had done so many scripts since 2004 as him, that I had kind of this internal infrastructure of material that I could pull on at any time and kind of connect the dots. So a lot of the interviews that I did for Australian TV and British television and American television, I had no idea what they were asking me. So I would sit there and I would hear it on delay and then just kind of go to the next thing and the next thing. So I always felt very confident that I would have something funny to say that is him. The main thing was it's got to be him, and then it's got to be funny, but it's got to be him first. It can't be outside the realm of the possibility of him. But honestly, at this point, nothing's out of the realm of possibility, Did you think it would sort of go quiet after the big January sort of inauguration? Because it seems to me every day it's getting louder. He says something else or does something else that gives you another opportunity to make fun. I mean, the wall obviously is the obvious gag that you can always go to for a cheap laugh. But beyond that, there's another 500 things he said since. Every day are you adding new stuff in? Every day. And one of the great things that to answer the first part of that question, I knew if he won that it was going to just level off because it couldn't, that frenzy that I was having just couldn't sustain itself. It's just, and once somebody's the president, it doesn't matter who it is, it's like, oh, he's going to be around for at least the next 4 years. So we don't have to get this guy like tomorrow. So once that leveled off, and with everything that he does, it's so amazing. And sometimes it comes so fast. And he was in Puerto Rico. I do the Trump cast on Panoply. And I did a quick bit about throwing the towels. You get a roll of towels. And you get a roll of towels. And you get a roll of towels. The Viva towels. You Latino people like that, right? Viva Latino. And the thing was, I did it that day and it went out. And then Trumpcast did something they don't usually. They just broke that piece off. They thought it was so funny. It got such an amazing response, and that's very gratifying to me as a comedian that they did that. If we'd waited 3 days, 2 days,
right,
it would have been old.
Right.
We would have been backtracking. So unlike any other president or any other person, I could honestly say in history, if I don't do something on Twitter, record something as a voiceover, or shoot it as it happens, right, it by the end of the week, it's done. It looks like I'm going backwards. Yeah. So it's a very interesting place to be in because sometimes somebody will say something, and another thing is that I feel like I'm not Kimmel. I'm on Conan all the time, but I'm not Kimmel or Conan or Jimmy Fallon, and they have a team of writers, and every single night it's like Trump, 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 Trump. So I have to be really in his head comedically to come up with something that they haven't, teams and teams and teams of writers haven't thought of. Right. So I can get out there and get something on Twitter that's insightful and funny that no one else has come at.
It's times like this you wish Letterman was back because he'd have been having a hoot with this.
Oh my God, he was so sharp and so droll too, and he was not a Trump fan.
Right.
He was not, especially those last 10 years, he was not a Trump fan.
Let's talk about the transformation. If we were to become him now, what time would you be ready?
Right now, I would need to shave my face and I would need to shave my head. So I need at least 40, and I usually keep them relatively shaved, but I just took a little break. So I need to shave. That takes about 30 to 40 minutes to do that. And then it takes a full hour to get into makeup. And one of the reasons I shave my head is, and I don't use a skull cap, is I want a lot of my stuff is, it's on camera, we're shooting in high def. Also, a lot of things are live, and I'll do an element where I'm right next to people.
Right.
So I may be on stage and the closest person is 20 feet away, but that, at some point I'm going to be right next to them. And I want you, as an actor, I don't want anything that's going to pull you out of the performance. So I shave my head, and when one of these wigs goes on, you're able to look into my scalp. Just like you're able to look into his, if you're tall enough. And you can see that, oh, that's his scalp. That's his scalp. I want to make that commitment to the character to make it as authentic as possible. Obviously, I don't look like Donald Trump, but I want to do as much as possible. Wear 3-inch heels, wear the wig, wear the blue contacts, get the makeup right, get the crow's feet. Just his eyes aren't as white as they used to be. Right. So I have to bring that down. He's really become kind of a moving target with the subtleties of his look, but they're all pretty much the same. The hair's pretty much the same. Different day to day, but the same. It's an odd kind of thing.
And do you even do the Trump ties and the Trump shirts that he sells and all that, or is that irrelevant?
No. I used to have all of that stuff, and these all the ties here. And this is my Trump tie case right here, and Trump ties only. But what happens is because I'm doing him so much, and I'm always dancing or moving or this thing and that thing, I sweat like a pig. So I've destroyed a lot of these ties. I've destroyed a lot of $125 shirts, and I've got all the the little accoutrements here, the French cuffs, because he wears French cuffs, and he wears like super high end shirts. So for a long time it was just all Trump stuff, and it was just hard to keep up with because last year working almost every single day, a lot of the stuff was just breaking down. So I found these are very expensive shirts and expensive ties. They're just not his. And his are getting much harder to find. They're becoming like collector's items because Macy's doesn't carry them anymore, and anybody you're going to buy them from is going to be on eBay, and they want to charge an arm and a leg. It's like, well, that's not worth it to me. I don't need a collector's item. I need something I can perform in.
And of course, the ultimate question is, has he reacted? Because he loves to put people in his place with his fake news and all that. You must be a thorn in his side because you're drawing attention to him and making him funny. But at the same time, there's an element of mockery, or is he just glad for the attention?
I think he's glad for the attention from me. I'm considered the nice Trump. Right. I've made over 50 appearances on Fox News, and I was always very respectful. I've never done anything like really outrageous on my own. I've been in a couple of things that they've kind of pushed the envelope, but that's not me. That's just not who I am as a person. But not that I don't have a point of view. It's just that I'm not really going to bash the guy. My comedy's a little more hopefully insightful and funny, and not hit you over the head. Yeah. It's not like it's not like that horrible Alec Baldwin. Wow, you're a loser. Terrible. I'm going to cancel Saturday Night Live. I can do that. I'm the president.
And the final question about Donald Trump is, what's more important, the hands or the voice? Because they're both paramount to his performance. And he is performing, isn't he, when he does his chats?
Oh, absolutely. I think his voice is more important. And this is why. For the longest time, for over a decade, that's really all you got. On The Apprentice, he sat at a desk. So it was always, blue team, green team, you both did a horrible job. But you could tell, like, they forced him to keep his hands down, because on television, you can't do that. I'm sure Mark Burnett was like, stay on the hands. So he always would, if I had. That was his big move. It was if I had. So all the hand stuff kind of came in. I'm sure he was doing it. But because television was, The Apprentice was somewhat restrictive, you didn't see it until we went on the stump speeches. Right. So I think the voice is more important. It's the first thing you hear. If you're doing a voiceover, the hands don't matter. But when I go into my little studio, I knock stuff over because I'm doing it. I have to do, oh shit, sorry. I have to do it again. Okay,
Beautiful, isn't it? Congratulations on everything. What a remarkable success. Are you ever going to tour your characters? Because, we've talked a lot about Trump for obvious reasons, but, you've done Austin Powers, you've done all these other wonderful characters over the years. Probably less interesting than him right now, but nevertheless, it's a show in itself.
Right. Yes, we've been thinking about it for a long time. We're focused on him, but I would love to do something where I'm either just in like a black t-shirt and black pants and interact with the characters, or shoot things in advance and as myself talk to the characters, because there are so many great characters. And I think we need, this time right now, we need more humor, just a little more comedy in the world.
I'll tell you why I like you more than any of the guys who do it, is your affection towards him. Whether you politically like him or not, you can tell you love him because the warmth you bring to that character is so endearing. And in all the clips, and thank God for viral, because let's face it, your stuff has gone around the world, millions of hits.
Yeah, I did a commercial called, I did the Wall commercial. I don't know if you saw that had 30 million views. I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. But there's something about him. I think people love him or hate him. It's kind of like with Elvis. You know what I mean? Right. People loved Elvis and people hated Elvis, and that's the same thing. It meets somewhere in the middle. Right. And if you handle it right, we can kind of bring some humor and bring some mirth and merriment out of Donald Trump.
I'm a very low rent interviewer, as you will have already worked out. If, for example, I had the opportunity to meet Donald Trump, do you think he'd be impressed with these questions, or do you think he'd find me obnoxious?
I would think that you're British, which he loves. The British people are tremendous. You invented the English language, which I use every day. I use the best words. The best words. I put them in incredible order. You're tall. You have a great look. You look like Bradley Cooper, by the way. I like him. Very handsome. Dating a model, I think. I dated a model. So I think you do very, very well with him. Very well, I have to tell you.
John Di Domenico, thank you so much for your time. It was an honor meeting you.
Pleasure. Great meeting you too, man.